I don't know about you, but this year has been a whirlwind of a year that has been so full of lessons for me, and I kind of want to just talk about it. In the past, I would always look back on the year and go, because I was so driven to achieve goals and to achieve things, I'd always look back on the year and feel disappointed in myself and just feel like I hadn't achieved enough, I hadn't done enough, I hadn't reached my goals. But now I kind of look back on my year and think of all the lessons that I've learned, and when I think about the lessons that I've learned, I'm just like, damn girl, you're accomplished. And I've been writing them down and just reflecting on the year and just going, wow, I'm definitely not the same person I am today that I was at the beginning of the year. I don't know if maybe you might feel the same way. Some of the lessons that I have written down, some of the biggest lessons that I have had this year. Maybe me sharing my lessons will help you learn your lessons as well, or realize that you have some other lessons to learn, or maybe you have something to share in regards to my lessons that might help me along my journey in the comment section below or via message. So here it goes. One of the biggest lessons for me this year was about healing my trauma and the need to heal my trauma and healing myself in general. It's not that I'm not whole and complete as I am, but I guess this year I really figured out that if you have unprocessed emotions and trauma that sits in your body, and that trauma and those unprocessed emotions actually shape your personality and shape the actions that you take in life, and therefore you're acting based on that trauma and those emotions and not according to your truest self. So therefore healing that allows you to experience more of your true self and lead a life according to, I guess, the life that you came here to live. A life according to your own truth, if that makes sense. So healing my trauma has changed the relationships with my family primarily. I can see eye to eye and really see people instead of seeing them through a filter. And I'm also not as reactive as I used to be. I can have difficult conversations with people and not take it personally and just try to see it from their perspective, while before I just had these trauma and unprocessed emotions filters that blocked me from seeing someone else's perspective and understanding them, and therefore understanding myself better. I also learned a lot about conditioning that we receive in our cultures, in our societies. We're kind of programmed since childhood to believe that we are certain things, or that we should be certain things in our life. An example of conditioning is thinking that you have to grow up, go to school, go to university, get married, have children, get a mortgage, and then work for the rest of your life, and then retire, and then you die. That's a form of conditioning. Another form of conditioning is also when people tell women that their biggest purpose in life is to have children. And that's not necessarily everyone's truth. It's just something that certain people believe. Another form of conditioning is that men don't cry. So we're conditioned in so many different ways, and all of these expectations are plonked onto us. And it's kind of like once you start peeling those layers back, it's like peeling away layers of an onion, trying to find out who you truly are without all of that societal, cultural conditioning, and who you've come here to become in this life. So that has been really big, especially when you kind of come to big realizations and you go, oh, just because someone else told me I have to live a certain way doesn't mean that I have to actually do that. I'm here to live my life, not someone else's life. I'm here to live my truth, not someone else's truth. And the system that we live in, while it might feel secure, obviously something's not working because there's a lot of depression, a lot of anxiety, a lot of unhappy people. So it's really important for us to re-examine it and question why have we been told to live according to what the government or people, the church, or certain people expect us to live, and really kind of try to find our own happiness and our own truth. And that's really important. That's a really big lesson that I learned this year in just jumping. I quit my corporate marketing career and started living in a van for 6 months. And that's not something that you do in the Western society. That's like a career killer, and you'll lose your financial security. But while I did that, I actually found that I really didn't need much to survive, and it was the happiest that I've ever been. And I felt so good just spending time alone and just kind of like feeling into what makes me happy and not what makes someone else happy. So I really deconditioned myself, because the first night, or the first few nights that I spent in my van, I had this conditioning in my head that, poor me, now I'm homeless. But as the weeks progressed, I found that I was happier and happier and happier, and it was the best time of my life. And I felt so full in myself, so full of happiness within myself. So that was awesome to learn this year as well. Just deconditioning myself from societal, cultural, religious expectations, and really coming back to questioning, who am I? What is my truth? And following my intuition. That's another lesson, following intuition. It can be the scariest thing that you do, but once you actually follow your intuition, it is also the most fulfilling thing that you will ever do. Seriously. Even if it means going through breakups, living in a van, or whatever it is, it's the most fulfilling thing, just listening and following your intuition. And I guess when you listen to your intuition, it also means that you're learning to trust yourself, and being able to trust you is one of the most powerful things.
You're so cute, Foki. I love you.
Boundary setting. Oh my goodness. Boundary setting has been a life changer for me. Coming from a family, I guess, where we didn't really respect each other's boundaries, or didn't know how to. It just wasn't really a thing, I guess, maybe with previous generations, to learn about respecting other people's boundaries. And if we look at humanity, it's kind of riddled with history of countries and people encroaching on other people's boundaries and not having respect for them. So boundary setting and respecting other people's boundaries has been a huge lesson for me, and it has really changed my life in a way that gives me a lot more confidence and gives me a lot more confidence in who I am as a person and in the certain situations that I put myself in as well. I definitely, doing Tantra and going to tantric events, I felt more comfortable saying no to certain situations and not putting myself in a place where I would betray myself and what I really wanted. So boundary setting has been a huge lesson for me and has changed my life, and it's a constant thing that you're constantly learning to do, because new boundaries pop up, your boundaries according to different situations that you put yourself in, or other people's boundaries pop up where you have to learn to respect them as well. But overall, I'm very proud of myself with how I've learned to set boundaries for myself and also to respect other people's boundaries. Community. This year last year I kind of moved out of the city, out of Sydney, and then I was traveling in my van, but this year I properly integrated myself into a community, into a small community, country community, and I realized just what it means to live in a community and how important it is for our general well-being. Our society puts emphasis on financial security, but what I have found is that there's different types of security. Financial security is definitely one of them, and it's important to have. However, it becomes less important when you also have community security, because, like, for example, these Australian fires that we've been experiencing this year, it came very close to affecting our village, and there were communities around here that were affected, and in times of crisis, community rallies together. We volunteer, we help each other, we support each other. It brings such a feeling of safety and security and well-being, knowing that you're a part of a community that cares and supports each other. For example, in this community where I live in Nimbin, in Australia, one thing that I love about being here is that nobody gets left behind. Even people, homeless people, or people who have mental issues, they're all looked after. Everyone looks after each other here, and that's something that I really love about this community. And people smile at each other when they pass each other in the street. We say hello, we stop and have conversations and get to know, how everything is. We just know each other, and it just makes you feel good. It gives you a sense of well-being as a person, and as humans we need that connection. It's important to learn about ourselves as individuals as well as part of our journey, but also a lot of our healing comes from the way that we connect and the quality of connections that we have in our lives. And community, having a community is vital, and that's something that's been destroyed in our cultures around the world, and we've been fragmented and taken away from community living and that support, and therefore a lot of people are feeling lonely and isolated. We need connection. I also learned that dog spelt backwards is God. So I truly believe that dogs are gods. Yep.